In half an hour, Grandpa is in trouble again in the monsters. Now we join the scientific program with the robot. Start here.
I'm Conrad, the famous kitchen robot. These are my friends, and this is where we live. I speak every language in the universe because I know about everything. Here's my assistant next door in the laboratory, and I can show you how to do amazing scientific experiments just like she does. But you can do them in your own kitchen at home. So, are we ready?
Yes! Yeah! Tom! Shrimp! Start here! Commence Parisi! Start here! Here I'm fine. Start here! Kamura Hachimaru! Start here! Kometaki! Start here!
Making a nice big pot of hot tea, Syria. Strange how you humans like hot things to drink. Do you know something? I've got a heat-sensitive eye that can actually see the heat from that kettle. That's what heat looks like. Through my heat-sensitive eye, I can see what cold looks like too. Hot is white, cold is black. And there's the boiling water from the kettle pouring into the cold black teapot and heating it up. It's going white. The cold fridge is a huge black hole, and all the other colors I can see are the various temperatures in between hot and cold. Hot teapot, cold milk bottle. There they are, cold black milk, hot white teapot.
She's ready. Yeah.
Oh, you do look so different through my heat-sensitive eye. Now here's something that'll look different too. I've slowed it right down. That's what a match looks like as it catches fire and produces lots of concentrated heat. Ice cubes, please, Tom. And onto the hot plate. A simple heat experiment first. The heat melts the solid ice, then it boils the water, and then the heat turns the water to steam. And all that was done by heat. Get another saucepan, Leah. Now, when you take the heat away from the steam with the bottom of the cold pan, it turns the steam back into water. Heat can certainly change things. It can change solids into liquids, and liquids into gases. And if you remove the heat, the whole process can be reversed. Disc number 31, please, and I'll switch myself to replay. Imagine these are molecules. As they heat up, they start jiggling around, and if they get hot enough, they loosen up so much they become liquid. And even hotter, and they just lose all control and start floating all over the place. And that's what a gas is, floating molecules. With enough heat, look what happens to metal. It melts like the ice did and runs like water. The molecules have been loosened up so much that even steel can be compressed like butter when it's hot. And when it's soft enough, it can be turned into bars and rolls and tubes and blocks. But how do you find out how much heat you need to change things? You need a way to measure heat. But you've got to find out something else first. That's it. Pop that straw into the top of the bottle. Screw it down so that it's sealed properly. Now put the bottle into the bowl and, be careful, pour the hot water over it. There's coloured water inside the bottle, isn't there? As it gets hot, the molecules in the water jiggle about and expand, and there's only one way for them to go: up the straw. You've made a sort of thermometer. Now, my assistant wouldn't use water in the thermometer. She'd use something else. Know what it is? She uses a thermometer full of mercury because it's a liquid metal and it's very sensitive to heat. As the mercury expands in the boiling water, it will move up the tube to a certain height that will always be the same at that temperature. So she marks it with some sticky tape. To find out another point which will always stay the same on the thermometer, she dips it into melting ice. They call it calibrating a thermometer, and here's one that has been calibrated. The freezing end is marked in blue, and the boiling point is marked in red tape. So now there's a way to measure heat. Iced lollies are 0 degrees Celsius. Boiling water is 100 degrees. A red-hot iron bar is about 1000 degrees Celsius. And the tip of a candle flame is 1500 degrees. And the center of the sun is an incredible 14 million degrees Celsius. And of course, people have a temperature too. What's yours, Surya? Let's see. It's 37.2, and that's very normal. That's good, Leah. So, heat makes thermometers expand. Now watch this. An empty bottle with a balloon on top, sitting in a bowl of hot water. What will happen now? Well, of course the bottle isn't empty. It's full of cold air. And as the bottle heats up in the water, the air expands more and more, enough to fill out the shape of the balloon. Try this. Pass her a glass, Tom, and I want you to dip it in the hot water.
Thanks. Nice and warm.
Now tip it out and blow into it and put it on a smooth surface. Amazing, isn't it?
Good.
What's happening is that the hot glass heats the air in it, so it expands and pushes the glass away from the surface, and it floats like a miniature hovercraft. Tom, cool the bottle under the tap and get a penny ready.
You got the coin? Might have. Here.
Now back into the hot water and the wet penny on top. I love this one. As the air heats and expands, it pushes the penny up and makes it tap. A dented ping-pong ball, and heat will repair it. The hot air inside expands to push out the dent.
Let's look.
Good as new. Useful to remember that. Right, disc number 44, please. you can use hot air to fly. The flames warm up the air inside the balloon until it expands and fills it. Then it's lighter than the rest of the air, so it just floats away into the sky. Yes, that must be rather exciting. Hot expanded air is an old friend of balloonists. They've been using it for hundreds of years. Right, if you're ready for the next experiment, I'll just speed up time a bit. And there we are, all ready to go. A copper rod fixed to a piece of plasticine to hold it steady against the jar of split peas on the right. And at the other end, the rod is resting on a little bar with a paper pointer stuck to it. That's all nice and neat. Now the candles are going to provide the heat, so light them up because you're going to prove that heat can expand metal, make it bigger, just like it expands air. It doesn't take long. The pointer's already moving. The copper bar is getting longer and longer as it gets hotter and hotter because the molecules jiggling around inside the copper need more space the more they heat up. As it expands, it rolls over the bar with the pointer on it and makes it move. There, do you see? This is another way to prove that heat makes metal expand. But you've got to be very careful when you do this one. Record its length on a strip of paper. It'll leave a clear scorch mark, then cool it right down in some water. Is it shorter now it's cold? It certainly is, by a few millimeters, and all because you took the heat away. Now, my assistant has got an experiment she wants to show you next door. What do you think would happen if she tried to stop a hot piece of metal from contracting as it cooled down? The brass rod is getting pretty hot, and it's expanding all the time. As it gets longer, she tightens the screw at the end to take up the extra length. The cold water speeds up the cooling. The molecules inside the bar must be really struggling to contract again, but they simply can't. Something's got to give. Now keep your eye on that steel locking pin. Yes, the power of the molecules in the brass rod were just too much for it. Now here's another experiment to see what heat will do, but never try it without gloves and goggles. The molecules in the glass are frozen stiff. Warm them up suddenly. The glass expands too fast and shatters the bottle. Pretty dramatic, eh? Pipelines in the desert are designed so that changes in temperature can't damage them. And bridges are built with plenty of room for the girders to expand and contract, or they just fall to pieces. The Empire State Building in New York actually grows taller in the summer, just because of heat expansion. The effect of temperature is something engineers never forget. Fill the bowl up, dear, so you've got one bowl of hot water and one of cold. Through my heat-sensitive eye, the hot water is white and the bowl of cold water is black. Now, I can see your hands and your fingers look nice and warm. Now dunk them into the bowls, that's it, and wait for them to change temperature. Are they changing? Good. Now take them out and look. One hand is really hot. The other is so cold I can't even see it, unless you put it in front of the warm bowl. Now rub them together and warm up again. What happened was that the heat moved from your hand into the cold water, and the heat moved from the hot water into your other hand. You see, it's the heat that always moves, never the cold. Yes, that looks more comfortable. Now, a bit of butter sticking a pea to a spoon handle and some more hot water for our next experiment. Not too much, Piers. You see, the metal of the spoon is taking the heat from the hot water, and the heat is travelling up the spoon handle. Then, the butter takes the heat from the spoon, so it starts to melt, and they call that heat conduction. Tom and Leah, come over here and let's see if we can organise a heat conduction race.
I'm going to have this spoon.
Everybody choose a spoon.
I know what one I'm going to have. I'll have this one. I'll have this one.
A dab of butter on each spoon, just enough to hold the peas in place. That's right. Excuse me, I can't see. Excuse me, please. Please. Thank you. That's better. Now, take care with the hot water, Piers. Always be careful with that. The silver spoon's gone at once. The steel spoon right behind it. Wood and plastic still left, though.
Another one's going.
Finally, only the wood's still there.
You've won. I've won. You haven't moved an inch. I know.
That's why they use plastic and wood handles on pots and pans that are meant to contain hot things. They don't conduct heat very well, so you don't burn your hands. And please take care of that match, Surya. Okay, ready for the next experiment. A big wooden spoon and a long metal spoon, each with a strip of paper taped to the handle. Well, we all know that paper burns, but watch this. The metal handle is conducting the heat from the candle flame away from the paper so it never gets hot enough to catch fire. But the wood is a bad conductor, so the heat stays in one place and this happens. That reminds me of something. Switching to replay. Once a man called Sir Humphrey Davy used that principle for a great invention. Look, the flame won't go through the metal sieve because the metal sieve is conducting the heat away. In those days, coal mines were especially dangerous because they used candles for light. And when they found gas, it could explode and people got hurt. Sir Humphrey Davy designed a lamp that could use a flame down in the mines with safety. In his lamp, the flame was surrounded with metal gauze, and of course, the gauze conducted the heat away, so there was less danger of explosions. The use of this scientific principle saved a lot of lives, I can tell you. Materials that are bad conductors can be used to trap heat and keep it where it's wanted, like fiberglass matting in the attic to keep the house warm, or lagging that stops pipes from freezing, special insulated bricks for building, and winter clothes lined with insulators that stop body heat from escaping. There's another way that heat can move. See how tall the flame is? Remember, it's heat you're looking at, not light. And this? Know what it is? Recognize the sound? Yes, it's one of those candle roundabouts. It's being driven round because the hot air rising from the candles is spinning those vanes beneath the clown's feet. So the whole thing turns on the power from hot air, and when heat moves in this way, it's called convection. There's an experiment you can do that actually shows convection happening. All you need is a jam jar of cold water and an eyedropper full of coloured liquid. Gently squeeze it into the bottom of the jar, then onto the blocks with it. That's it. A candle underneath. That should do it. Now, as the heat from the candle warms up the blue liquid at the bottom of the jar, can you see what's happening? It's expanding and rising, and you can see the convection currents as they move upwards through the water. Switching to replay. Once, these table lights were very popular. Two liquids that don't mix. The light bulb at the bottom heats up one of them, and it rises in the convection currents, and at the top it gets cold and drops down again. And that's how the weather works too. Heat is exchanged within the atmosphere, making the clouds move in convection currents that are driven by the heat from the sun. I've switched to my heat-sensitive eye again. This is a light bulb. How do your hands feel, Tom?
They're warm. Warm.
Yes, they're warm because the heat is travelling through space and your hands are absorbing it. Now turn the light off and at once the heat disappears. Look, it's going black. No more heat for your hands to absorb. Heat can be reflected like light too. You'll need two of these tin containers for this experiment, and paint the bottom of one black. Careful with that spray there. And a couple of buttered pennies. Okay, Tom? We'll stick them inside the containers because this is going to show you how heat and light from the candle can be reflected and
Do
absorbed.
you like the candle? Okay.
Now when you fix the other buttered coin in place, Leah, we'll see whether the heat and light behave the same way.
Yeah. I bet mine will go down first. I bet mine will.
Heat is being reflected from the container on the right and absorbed by the black paint on the other one. Doesn't take long, does it? But the silver container is still reflecting all the heat away. The butter hasn't even started to melt. Now I'm switching to replay. That's why a thermos flask works so well. The heat can't get in or out by conduction because there's a vacuum between the two glass containers. It can't get out by convection because there isn't any air to carry it away. And it can't get out by radiation because the silver surfaces reflect it all back. That's what they're doing here. These special mirrors are reflecting the light and the heat from the sun into that tower over there. As the sun moves across the sky, computers keep the mirrors in line with it. They're using reflection to collect the sun's rays and harness their power. What are you all looking for in there? Oh, I think I can guess. I wonder what it'll look like with my heat-sensitive eye. That's it. Iced lollies. Well, after all those heat experiments, that will cool you down all right. As for me, I'm extremely comfortable. Just the right temperature.